Just because you were top 500 on Overwatch, or you said like ex-pro league player shit, you were never a pro. A pro is a definition of a pro is someone who made a living by participating in a tier 2 or tier 1 league. You're lying for the sake of raising venture funds and being cool on Twitter. And anyone who is actually in the scene knows that you're lying. I know who you guys are.
Welcome to the Cap Table in New
sir.
York.
Yes, sir. We are in New York.
Yes. And if you don't know what the Cap Table is your twice a week, everything update daily. Not daily, sometimes daily on Twitter.
Twice a week, yeah.
Right? Yeah. Everything tech, AI, startups, and whatnot. But, a big part of the show, because the fact that Ishan, Jaden, and I, we're all in tech, but, we're still learning along the way, which is why we want to bring on people who are just doing it so much better than us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Experts in the field.
Experts in the field. And we have on today, Clouded.
Yes.
Yes.
Clouded.
We got on Justin and Eric. Great name, by the way.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a fantastic name. But thank you so much for, having us. And we're here in New York, right? Because we're SoCal based, but we decided to come out to the East Coast.
Yeah. They are also SoCal based.
Yeah, we're also SoCal based. So first of all, thank you for the glaze. You guys are amazing glazers.
Oh, there we go.
It's like we are also, I guess, we're kind of split between NorCal and like SoCal, but I guess we're all the transplants this week. I always say, right,
We are.
just as much as SF needs a culture week, New York has a tech week too. So it's
Exactly.
There
Yeah,
we
we're here
go.
for New York Tech Week. I don't know if Eric mentioned that.
Yes,
Yeah,
we are for New York Tech Week.
We all came specifically for Tech Week. Eric and I were talking about it earlier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Kind of.
The story is we had no idea.
Yeah, the story's
us too.
Actually, we were talking about Eric about it. Yeah, we were talking about Eric.
We're here on like a business trip because a bunch of our like, clients in like, the news space are here. And then
we booked a billboard. I was like, all right, we're going to do the first week of June, and then it was Tech Week, and we're like, all right, we're going to just extend it.
Funny
literally
enough,
the same thing.
I was supposed to be here for a client, right?
For
But then,
Governor's
like,
Ball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Governor's Ball. But then that kind of fell.
same.
Oh, really? but then that fell apart, and then I was just like, oh, I still have the hotel and flight. And then these two,
might
I
as well
didn't even ask them. They were just
Might
like,
as well, bro.
we should just go to New York.
New York in the summer? Are you serious? Come on.
And then look what now the Knicks are in the finals.
Yeah.
Tech Week,
World Cup.
Governor's Ball, World Cup. It's the perfect time to come in New York.
But you know
so.
what? Enough rambling and yapping.
Yes.
Clouded. What is Clouded? Jay, do you want to give a little bit of a
I thought they
introduction?
should. You guys should give it a go.
No, but
you
you
gotta
hype man it.
You gotta glaze them, bro.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then,
Clouded is a virality engine, perhaps, for consumer and entertainment brands. I think you guys also utilize AI in a bunch of ways, right? Right, to optimize kind of the funnel and to build brand's identity, content library, audience signals, all these great things. Essentially, it is the best way to distribute your brand, your company on the internet today. Or at least that's what they aspire to do, and that's what they are in the process of doing.
Yeah, that's what we hope to do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, right? It's like I guess I can go back to like the story of when I was growing up. We're not gonna go that far, right?
Okay.
But ultimately, the root and identity of many people of our team is we're all from like the creative space, right? A lot of us are music artists, managers, on top of our day jobs and like startups, right?
Yeah.
Eric's a creator himself. A lot of us come from like the gaming space, and one of the biggest problems we've always seen when it comes to like when you're coming up, right, is that a lot of people actually have a message worth hearing, but they never get the exposure and attention they do.
Yeah.
So our belief is that, when you're a great builder, when you're onto something great, the thing that you should be focusing most on is what you're building. And our idea with Clouded is we're building out AI agents that essentially ingest your brand and run organic marketing campaigns for you across clipping, UGC, fan accounts, and paid ads as well.
Yeah.
And the idea there is that over time, it's going to be the best way for you to essentially allocate your capital to. So you give your budget, you give your brand, you give it your goals, and then it spends and does it for you so you can focus on what you do best.
Well, one thing I want to highlight as well is, we Philippines, right?
Okay, yeah, that's what Let's start right from the. I'm very excited about this, that we have our first Filipino guest on the
Yes.
podcast. As you guys
You've been talking
know,
about this
I've
for a while,
talked
man.
about. Yeah, I have. I've talked about.
And you even mentioned you guys are what was it? The only Filipino company that is in speedrun?
VC,
Yeah,
GC
like,
guys, right?
Hopefully not the only one for long, It's,
Yeah.
I think there's more and more Southeast Asians in speedrun. I think we were the first 0.5 in terms of like a Southeast Asian company in like speedrun, and we've been trying to scout more and more people from our culture, from our scene to like come over. But most of our team or our company's roots are in the Philippines, right? Most of our team started together in our last startup back in the Philippines, and then when we decided to do Take Two, we were like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it in America. Let's do it in like the the place to be, right?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it's like if you are super serious about like building in the tech scene, you have to be in a tier 1 market, right?
Yeah.
It's like hot take, it's like there's LA for certain startups.
Yeah.
San Francisco, New York, and arguably London. And then arguably London and Sydney are for certain markets as well. So at the end of the day, even if you are building for a very, very specific local market, I always tell local founders in the Philippines and Southeast Asia that you should spend some time in,
Those
like
tier
cities
one.
where there is a mass density of talent in your space.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I like that a lot. Like, break it down though, because you mentioned 5 cities. What is each city the best at in terms of what you're building at? What is the best wedge for everyone to be building in if they want to occupy that space?
That's a really good question because like I call myself a anthropologist.
Okay.
I fashion myself as an anthropologist, so this could be a TED talk in and of itself. Because, every city in like I guess these like tier 1 markets, right, are all defined by a question. Particularly LA, New York, and SF, right? LA is defined, or the defining question is, who do you know? That's like the main currency question in like LA. In New York, it's where do you come from? What's your pedigree? Like what stuff do you already have?
Yeah.
And then in San Francisco, for better or for worse, it's
What are you
what do you
building?
know, right? What future are you trying to build? Singapore is very, very similar to New York because Singapore is like the finance hub of Asia.
Right. Yeah.
Sydney is a lot more similar to like San Francisco. There's a lot of like really good like builders there. That's why if you notice, a lot of the Founders Inc. and like YC Batch right now, there's more Australian accents now. In, like,
Yeah, there's a lot. There were a lot. There were a lot on Twitter.
I've been studying this.
Yeah.
It's like you can look at like the recent like Founders Inc. like recap videos or YC recap videos, and you can see so many people from down under coming down under. Shout outs to all our Australian Kiwi friends.
Awesome.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I want to take a step back though. Okay, so you mentioned that you guys had started in the Philippines,
Yes.
and one of the ways you started was throwing like a 20,000 person festival, EDM festival in Manila.
You say Indian?
EDM. This guy, bro. Anyways, how do you go from that to creating kind of like this virality, like I mean, almost like an agency, but also an AI marketing company?
I mean, the gist of it, right, was that we started a festival about 2 years ago because I just moved back from the US. I went to college in the US.
Okay.
Most of my life in the Philippines, right?
Okay.
And I realized like electronic music was like dead in the Philippines, and I'm the kind of guy, right?
Really?
where,
But Filipinos love EDM, bro.
well,
At least in America.
Because of me.
I put the whole country on.
First of all, I think I've earned the right to call myself Filipino EDM Jesus.
Okay.
The Philippines will say that. By the way, it's like as voted by the people. As voted by the people. First of all, check comments on some of my reels. But it's I did not coin this term. Thank you, RJ, for these. But I will say that I went back to the Philippines 2 years ago. And there weren't many places for people or third spaces for people to like come together, right? Because the inherent difference between a festival and like a club, right, is that festivals are more of a social third space than a club where people just go out, get wasted, among other things.
Yeah.
I do love the club. Thank you to my club clients as well. You guys are great. But festivals are a lot more all ages. They're a lot more wholesome, whatever, and wholesome to a degree.
Yeah.
To a degree.
Wholesome to a
Yeah.
degree. And I wanted to bring that energy and that like space back home, right? And it all started with like my younger sister basically being like, "Oh, it's like what's a rave?" And I'm like, "What is a rave?" But it was really difficult to like get that thing started, right? Because there was no distribution, there was no basis for a scene there. We had to convince a lot of like DJs to like come over, make that risk, and like fly out, right? But even then, even if you have an act like a Zed or an Millennium coming over to your event, it's how do you get that word out to the people? Now the problem was we were like 3 or 4 people working on the festival because at the time we were still working on Clouded's original version of the startup, which we were building like AI gaming coaches, AI game companions. Right?
Okay.
That's what we got into speedrun with. So I was like, how are we going to run marketing for a 20,000 person festival with minimal people? So we ended up we saw the rise of clipping, we saw the rise of like these UGC accounts. We saw that like the best funnel is to take all of these organic content once you test it out and then funnel them to paid ads, right? So we were like, yeah, it's like, can we, especially with the rise of how AI agents are getting good, right? I always say that the models are only getting better and better at doing things, but at the end of the day, when you have even if you drop the best marketer or the best, someone doing good at marketing operations into something that they have zero context or zero knowledge on, then it's probably gonna suck, right?
Yeah.
So what we ended up doing is essentially building out a shared context graph of all of our past events, essentially like a second brain for marketing of all, because the festival wasn't the first event that we ran, right? We ran a lot of like smaller shows up until that point, and we had access to a lot of our artists' data. They shared that too. We had a lot of like market data from the Philippines, and we basically built out it's essentially like an AI second brain that maps out the scene, maps out the people in it, maps out everything there, and then use that to power agents to automate our marketing campaigns for the festival. And from there, from a 4-person team, granted like only one person was like working in marketing, we were able to run a massive operation to essentially psyop people into believing EDM was a much larger genre than it actually was in the Philippines. And then I like to call it like manifesting, right? And it did, once everyone thought everyone was going to do that, everyone went.
I see you invited a lot of my friends out too, like
the boys.
Jimmy, Fred, and all them. I don't know where my invite was, but
Damn.
This year.
I was at your turbo party like a couple of years ago, or like last year or something.
The Halloween
And then
one?
we were trying to find and say hi to people, and I was like, "Where's Ergo?"
The Halloween ones, yeah.
I was like, "You would have actually been at the event if we ended up meeting, dude."
Damn. You guys went to the Philippines, bro.
I know.
Wait, so talk to me. Oh, sorry. I want to talk about like a little bit more about that marketing strategy.
I want to talk about his DJ career actually.
Oh, okay.
We dropped that he like the music stuff, but like
Yeah, like
let's
why?
talk-
Why are you in the music scene?
Yeah,
that's
let's
your
talk about
question.
I want to know about like your background in music, and I'm curious. Do you think it helped you? Like, in what ways, and is it similar and different than what you're building with your company? Like, how are the marketing strategies similar? How did it inform some of your strategy with Clouded, and kind of where does it diverge as well?
Yeah, so I think like the entire story behind like my DJ career is in between startups. As with many founders, as with many people who are in their quarter life crises, I picked up DJing. But when it comes to like hobbies, I am very neurotic when it comes to my hobbies. In that I always tell myself I set a start goal and an end goal in terms of like I want to get really really good at it, then drop the hobby, right?
Okay,
because
yeah.
because what's this like? At the end of the day, my passion is still in like actually building like the thing that we're doing, but I do need a hobby. I call it picking up hobbies so I can get different perspectives on the world,
I love
right?
that.
And I always knew that in the second startup I wanted to be more deeper into like the music and like creative industry, right? And I was like, what better way to understand the pains of being an artist or the struggles of being an artist than becoming an artist myself.
There we go.
Because I could have looked at it from a creator's perspective or whatever, but I'm not as good on camera as you guys, So I was like, what is something that I am potentially good at, right? As someone who's like classically trained. It's like DJing, it's like music, right?
Yeah.
And as I've learned is that at the end of the day, whether you're an artist, you're a creator, you're a founder, a lot of these people are what I call craftspeople who ultimately want one thing, which is their message or their vision for the world to be heard and seen, right? But I think the biggest thing that I've actually learned is that a lot of like, I call it consumer-facing marketing, is actually inherently similar across different fields, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, there's top of funnel, bottom funnel, there's audience like life cycle marketing. It's actually, even though the flavors are, the flavoring or like the feels are different, the actual fundamentals behind like core marketing here are actually like very, very similar. So I started my DJ career about like a year or so ago, and then my goal was to like play EDC. So it's like working on that one. I mean, I technically played in EDC. I played EDC in Thailand.
Wow. What the heck?
I like I'm pretty decent at the music thing. I like I'm pretty decent. I'm playing. I'm actually here in New York. Well, mostly for Tech Week, but I randomly ended up getting booked for like this club called Marquee.
Oh, yeah.
Which is pretty fun. It's like, thank you Marquee for paying for my trip. By the way.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, it's like at the end of the day, I realized that like, whether you're a creator, you're an artist, whatever, you're essentially the CEO of your own company. You're the CEO of your own brand and everything, right? And a lot of these artists, even founders, right? Everyone that we work with, rather than like just caring a lot about like someone doing the work in terms of like all these AI, CMO type companies, right? Because capability is one thing, but the biggest thing the decision makers and these brand owners care about, right, is being seen in the way they want to be seen.
Dude, I love the fact that you guys are mirroring each other right now.
That's so cute.
Yeah. No, I think that's such an important thing. I think Ishan and I, like, we know very well, like, just like working in the UGC space. Oftentimes people want to coach and curate, and they ask, like, I think it's a lot of times the UGC creators who are like doing it for 2 months, they get some success and they're like, let me coach now, and it's like, dude,
It's not the same.
It's not the same. Like the best, like. Every time like I'm hiring, or maybe you as well, like I always ask like, have you created content? How long have you created content? And I don't necessarily think they have to be like a Mr. Beast, all right? Or like a Nick DiGiovanni. But I just think you at least gotta have some skin in the game though, right?
For sure, yeah. You need to be able to create. It's different than like I don't know. I always feel like reading off a script is much easier, obviously, than like creating your own content, creating your own brand, creating your own image. And a lot of people like they get lost in the sauce sometimes, especially around marketing. I want to go back. Sorry, I know we're talking about this, but I want to go back to this like festival strategy and marketing strategy. How did you actually do it? I know you kind of explained that like, hey, like we convinced like people in the Philippines that to like EDM, but like, what did you actually do? Like, what were the technical?
Thousands of
How did you do that?
I love talking about this. So it's like we can kind of break it down to different buckets.
Yeah.
So first of all, it's we ended up it's similar to like I guess like the U.S. like. That's why when I say like app marketing, festival marketing, a lot of these marketing tactics are, if you look at the actual fundamentals of what they are, right, it's actually quite similar at its core in that similar to like how there's like US, you manage UGC programs, right?
Right.
We ended up gathering like 100 high school and college kids across different, I guess, like concentration of pockets. So we had, this university district, that university district, this high school district. We had like essentially like 5 to 10 in each like major district in like the core regions of the Philippines. And we basically, had a coach for that too. We had like, we were looking at like whatever viral formats were working in like the US for all of these like, sad Asian, the sad Asian, my people, the sad Asian. And then we had them iterate on it weekly, right? So very similar to like how a lot of these like managed
Exactly.
UGC. And then what we did, right, is that the best performing videos, then we ran a pod of like 300 clippers to basically take that best performing crazy from that and then remix and redistribute that at scale, right? So now you have like a really low blended CPM and max reach there. So the UGC people were for engagement and then the clipping was for the awareness side.
Right.
And then the best performing stuff, we then automatically promoted to like paid ads, right?
Oh,
It's the same
you started with the UGC and then you clipped the UGC?
Yeah.
Oh, and then the winners obviously you put
you paid ads on the winners.
Wow, that's really interesting.
That's amazing.
I haven't really heard about people clipping UGC.
I haven't heard that either, actually. Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing.
Content's inherently a little bit longer.
Yeah,
So it's
that
like,
makes
it's
sense.
like usually like a minute. It's like minute 20 because like you're trying to showcase like a lot of footage of the festival, stuff like that. When we say clipping, it's more so like taking existing videos, like remixing them, slicing together. I say clipping in a loose term. I call it more redistributing in that case, but trying to standardize the verbiage for our
Kind of like when you're posting to trial reels, you like iterate a
Try a little bit,
so
yeah,
it
change
doesn't
the title
get
and
flagged as duplicate content.
Wait. So I'm curious. So you were talking about festival content, but what festival content were you using before the festival
He said they
started?
did other events, right?
Yeah, we did like smaller, like so
Okay,
the
okay.
20,000 person festival was essentially like I guess like the biggest event we've done.
Yeah.
We did like so just to give people context on like terms and like the rave scene, right? So there's like smaller like local gigs, they're called shows. Then there's like larger 1,000 to 3,000 person shows. They're called massives, right? That's it. Like if you're an oldie in like the rave scene, you'll appreciate this. And then it's only really a festival when it hits like like a 6,000-10,000 person scale. So we ran gigs, we ran massives, and then we built up a lot of like footage from that, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously it's like
You found PMF.
I like to think so because there is a saying in the rave scene. It's like, you lose money on your first 3 shows. So people always ask the question, right? How little money did you lose for the first couple times? And we lost as little money as possible, enough to survive the book Zed, which is great.
Right. I mean, that's Zed, man.
Which is great. But at the end of the day, it's like...
He loves Zed.
I love Zed.
Thank you. It's like, I love Zed too, dude. You're honorary Filipino.
Thank you.
There
Let's
we go.
go.
But basically, right, one of the things that we also kind of did, which is like, we don't do that anymore, but... because we didn't have as much festival footage of like big festivals, we actually ended up like clipping against like US festival videos.
Oh, nice.
So when I say clipping, it's like we actually were clipping against like US like long set videos, like 1 hour.
The
set
boiler
videos,
rooms.
the boiler room stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then we just like told people, oh, this is our festival. I was like, first of all, we don't do that. First of all, we don't do that anymore. We have enough footage of our own. But we because at the end of the day, right, there was basically zero distribution of like rave culture and rave content in the Philippines. Right? It's never reached the algorithm of the Philippines. So what's the only way we take that? We have other people.
You were you were LARPing for profitability.
There you go.
I was
Fake it till you make it.
For the culture, that's a good way to spin it. That's a good way to spin it.
Sometimes our friends will be like posted up at like a really nice restaurant and we'll just screenshot the story.
And
No, so I never really say that is the festival. I say this could be the festival.
There you go.
That makes sense.
If we all come together and have the event and pay Justin $250,
There we go.
then this
This is
could
what it could be. This is what it could be.
I like
I
that.
mean, Eric has a lot to say about like this kind of stuff in terms of like I guess like destination, making people feel something, building a world. Eric, you want to take it? Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, one of the other things we did too is what we call influencer seeding. So a lot of like influencers don't love posting on their own page. So what we'll do is we'll actually capture content with them and then run that through clipping, because it actually effectively
smart.
is like 1/5 the cost for brands. And for our festival, it's like, oh, these people are gonna go, and we can like maximize the
clip
reach
them.
there too.
I mean, y'all too, as people who have like found PMF and like do a really good job, and that's a guerrilla like marketing tactic. I think a lot of founders are still trying to attempt that in their own way, right? That's like the biggest question for everyone is, do you have PMF? How are you, like, what's your distribution? Like, distribution is the biggest moat now. I mean, like, what is your biggest advice for any founders and people watching this that like are trying to replicate that success y'all have had?
Yeah, and also on top of that hot take, do you think it's better for companies to try to do this all in house? Or do you think it's better for them to go to agencies? You might be a little biased, but I do want to hear your.
I mean, it's like we always have we actually like so we operate on two sides, right? We have our managed service side, and then we have our managed service side, and we have our tool side in terms of like our platform for people to like run this in house. So I always say the answer is actually like very much subjective, and I actually tell a lot of people, right, that our managed service side may not be for everyone, especially because like we are specialized in like the entertainment, consumer facing, and especially like the music scene, right? If you're trying to do like a B2B company, if you're finding what I call content market fit, I often actually tell a lot of like founders or people that we try to work with is you should actually learn to do this yourself first. You should actually try doing this in-house yourself first. That's my hot take. There's gonna be a lot of people, especially in like the UGC marketing scene in general, people who unfortunately don't have the comfort of venture money to experiment, in terms of they're gonna say like, hey, you should like hire an agency from the get-go, you should hire managed service from the get-go.
Right.
I actually tell people, if you're finding content market fit, then you should really, really, really try doing it in-house. And the only time you should really bring in a managed service, right, is when you've hit a certain point, when you've had content market fit, when you've had like, I guess, promise market fit of what you're selling, right? Because at the end of the day, marketing, and especially managed service type of marketing, right, is what I call, is anyone here Chinese?
I'm Chinese.
Okay, perfect. Like there's this like Chinese term called like jiao. It's like basically it's like
I don't know what that is.
Fake Chinese, bro.
It's basically like it's like Chinese for like pour oil to the fire, right? In the sense of like a lot about like bringing on like one of like our managed services, right? Is that it's a multiplier. It amplifies something you already have, right? So it's garbage in, garbage out, great results in, or great input in, great input out. If I'm 40xing or 100xing something that's like already at a 50, right, then that's a lot. But if I'm 40xing something that's like 0.1, then
You said jiao.
yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
You know what?
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
But it's ultimately it's like that's my actual like hot take, right? My hot take is that like we provide both the tools for people to do it like in-house, white label on their own,
love that, yeah.
but also like the managed service side as more of a multiplier. Obviously, it's like we make the most money from our managed side, right? But at the end of the day, I always tell founders that you should try to do it in-house, or at least try to learn the early stages, because it's you doing it yourself that only then you'll really learn what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I agree as well.
Yeah, I have a question regarding. It's kind of related to like the agency stuff. So you guys raised a $7 million seed. I'm curious if there were any challenges as you were raising to people. I know you guys have like a tech team as well, and like a whole like you guys are building tech as well with the company. But were there people like trying to pigeonhole you? One is like an agency, like this is just an agency. Like how will this scale? Because traditionally, I know it's harder for agencies to raise venture backed money because it's harder to scale that to the the size of a company that most people think. And two. So that's the first question. Like, what did that happen in your raising process? But two, do you think that is going to be the way forever, or do you think like we'll see venture-backed agencies over time? Because I just feel like both these two are in agencies. There's just so many agencies going around. Yeah. Do we think that's going to become like a play? And those are able to reach profitability oftentimes a lot quicker than a lot of these AI companies that people B2B companies. So I'm just curious if that's something you think that can happen in the future.
Yeah, it's like three pieces to this, right?
Yeah.
First is that we did run into those issues when we were like kicking off like the fundraise, right? Especially because like when we did start, a lot of it was like very manual to begin with, right? Because the way this actually started was a lot of the DJs and artists we work with at the festival were like, holy shit, you guys are really, really good at what you do here. Could you guys like do that for me, right?
Yeah.
So we ended up signing on a lot of the people that we work with, like Millennium, Subtronics, a lot of like our DJ friends were like, holy shit, you guys are pretty good at what you do.
Yeah.
And then that actually what signaled us to
Just
pivot.
casually name dropping like one of the biggest.
I mean, I do have a propensity for like randomly meeting like cool people. It's like it's surprising to me that this is the first time I'm meeting Eric, for example.
Yeah.
Because it's like I would have thought I would have met someone as cool as him. Like,
You guys were at the Turbo Party, so I'm
Yeah,
surprised you guys didn't meet
You
them.
guys were at that
Yeah.
turbo party.
Yeah.
I was
Three
trying to
turbo
find- I was
parties.
trying to
Three?
find-
Oh, I worked for Turbo. I was there at one party. I wasn't even there for three of them.
Yeah, but going back, it's like in terms of that stuff, right? We were pigeonholed because like at the time we didn't have a lot of like our tech pieces built out, right? Like our AI moderator for all of like the submission stuff, our like second brain for all that data play stuff, right? But as I think there were three things that like led us like I guess it was like. I always say this is kind of like the longest fundraise I did. It took us 3 weeks. It usually takes me a week.
Oh, wow.
It
Oh,
usually
wow.
takes me a week, but it took me 3 weeks. I was like, that's first world problems, unfortunately. But it's like I think we actually like onboarded like a really cracked like CTO after the first week while we were fundraising.
Oh, wow.
And
Oh, wow.
then a lot of our tech pieces actually came together while we were fundraising because it all happened in flux, right? We literally killed the last version of the company to go all in on this as we like ramped up, right?
Yeah.
But we were definitely pigeonholed into like the services space to like begin with until we really like I think it's a lot of it is about like showing how the agency piece is not only a revenue driver, but it's also how you get into rooms where you can actually get the data that you need to build out like the final product. Because at the end of the day, right, a lot about like marketing is also getting like first party and proprietary data. But if you can't get in to these places where the data lives, aka like tier 1 artists, tier 1 brands, right, then you're never going to be it's kind of chicken and the egg, right?
Yeah.
Where you're never going to be able to get the data you need if you don't have a wedge into these like big companies too, because otherwise you're going to be stuck doing 2 to 3K like campaigns that are never going to not only get you the data that you need, but also the revenue that you need too, right? It's like if you're an agency doing like 2 to 3K campaigns, great for you, but that's not the way you kind of like get to a certain scale, right?
Yeah.
So once we like aligned on that, built out all this stuff, fundraise went pretty nicely. But even then, right, there is still kind of a tax done on like the AI native like services company angle.
Yeah.
But my contrarian take, right, is even if we didn't have this like longer term AI play, I do think service companies are going to be meta more and more, especially as now that like the time to production for tech side has basically gone down to like
nothing.
It's minimal, right? It's marginal at this point. It's we're gonna see a shift in capital spending where the lines between venture and private equity are actually gonna blur.
That's a
right?
good
Where
take.
It's
That's a good take.
a lot of people are going to be judged not just by like the product that they're building, right? But because like essentially like technology is getting to a point where it's almost just as easy, if not sometimes even easier than consumer goods now, right? Because consumer goods you still have to have the supply chain stuff, you have to have the all the shipping stuff. It's like software production cost is like going down.
Yeah.
So I would even argue that a lot of traditional SaaS is actually going to be probably valued around the same, if not lower, at this point compared to that, right? And we're seeing, VCs like Sequoia, VCs like like the Slow Ventures guys, shout out to them, basically playing this like middle line between they have a thesis on like AI native service companies, right? And I only think that's only going to kind of like grow, but it's not going to be like traditional venture where you're going to get 40 to 50x multiples, right? Companies in like the VC space, PE space, whatever, the private funding space, right? Private markets are now going to be judged based on their company fundamentals. So your gross margins, your, I always say like labor costs and token costs are going to be very much like the same bucket of spending too.
That's very PE.
Much more
It's
traditional finance.
It's time for actual fundamentals in ventures. Right? It's time for actual fundamentals. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that just with many things, it depends. But I do think that there are a lot of like really, really interesting takes on traditional service companies that are AI enabled, because AI allows traditional service companies to scale at a scale they never had before, right?
Right.
I mean, a really good example of this are the Corgi guys, right?
Yeah.
Because of AI, they've been able to essentially like underwrite and eat up as much of the insurance space more than ever before. And then when you unlock that like ability to scale, but also the power of a lot of stupid venture capital, then you're able to have a really amazing business. Shout out to the Cordy guys, by the way. It's like they're amazing capital allocators.
They became a unicorn in like a week.
I mean, bro.
No, their thesis was super clear, right?
Yeah.
It's like AI is going to unlock ability to scale and build in the insurance space faster than ever before. And so far they've been right.
Yeah.
And also more companies too.
Yeah, a lot of more
And
startups.
there's only going to be more and more of these.
Right.
There's Ligora,
Yeah.
there's Corgi. We're definitely going to see the lines being blurred more and more between like service companies and product companies.
For sure.
Okay, I want to pivot a little bit because we've been talking a lot, but we haven't talked about, I think, what is a really interesting background. If you're a gamer, like you'd probably love this background. Eric's background.
Yes.
Like Eric, I just want to talk about this. This is going to be crazy. I don't know if you guys, you played video games growing up. I don't know how much Eric did. He's probably chud maxing. But so first of all, you worked on Treasure Wars, like way back
Yes.
when, which is one of the biggest like PvP servers on Minecraft.
Oh, wow,
If you've ever
sick.
played, I don't know if you guys ever played Minecraft.
Yeah.
I used to play Treasure Wars. So like I was reading that. I was like,
No
that's,
way.
Dude,
That's
yeah, it's
crazy.
one of the biggest servers on Minecraft. Like, I was like,
That's insane.
You
I went
went
to
to high
Minecon 2015.
I was ranked leaderboard on Badline.
Ooh.
That's crazy.
Okay. Okay.
And then you worked at Internet Evil Geniuses.
Yep.
Which, if you've watched League of Legends or any like CS:GO, like huge, like you were
Great
Optic
esports
Gaming,
team.
brand ambassador for Discord. You went to University of Texas at Dallas. You were the mascot.
Yep.
Which was crazy.
You were the mascot.
yeah, I was like mascot.
No, and then you were the mascot. Am I reading this right? For the Cowboys?
Yeah, the Dallas
You were
Cowboys.
the mascot
Yeah,
for the Cowboys?
Yeah.
Exactly. I want to get to this. You worked at Complexity Gaming. You were. I still can't believe you're the mascot. At the fucking
Fuck
Cowboys.
you,
That's
yeah.
so ridiculous. You had your own company. Then you worked social media lead at Riot Gaming,
Yes.
which a lot of you people watch play League of Legends, and now you're at Valorant.
Valorant,
Yeah,
probably.
So you've been really deep into the gaming space.
Yeah.
I want to hear a little bit about your story. I want to hear about the mascot stuff too. How did you get into that?
Yeah.
But like, what led you to gaming? Why Clouded now? Because
Yeah.
traditionally, when I think of Clouded, at least, I don't think of like a gaming company, right? I don't think of a Riot Games or anything like that. So if you can just start from like the beginning, like I want to hear about like the Minecraft days, bro.
Dude, the Minecraft days were kind of crazy. I mean, shout out to not having friends in middle school and high school. Like, I was just in my room, literally playing Minecraft all the time, and I just like loved building stuff. I think Minecraft was like a good example of like how startups are these days. Is like people that are passionate about it just see it as a platform to just build whatever they want. And
Yeah.
so I built my first server, and then someone's like, "Yo, can I donate?" And I was just like running the shit on my laptop, and I was like, "Okay, sure, I can figure out how to set up the version of Shopify for Minecraft." Started getting thousands of dollars like over the year, and then
Wow.
I like
In
literally
middle school?
Yeah, literally middle school. And then it was like freshman year of high school. I was like proving to my parents, I was like, yeah, I'm like getting my first paycheck, bro. Like this is my first job. Was literally making Minecraft servers. And I shut down my server because I was like, okay, I'm over it. Like it was like, it had its peak. I literally mass like sent a message on Skype to all my contacts. I was like shutting down like Mysteria Realms, GG's, like thanks for everything. Yeah, no, literally.
GG well played.
One of my friends who like inspired me to make that server was like, yo, like you want to work on this next big project with me. And so we worked on what was called Minecteria. We went out to Minecon, we scaled that. And then eventually that led me to like working on a lot of like Minecraft servers, Treasure Wars specifically. Dude, Minecraft servers print money. I actually ran into someone last night that's like making 100K a month on Minecraft servers.
Still?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So Treasure Wars, our best month, it was like Lachlan's Minecraft server. Our best month, I think, printed 230K. Yeah, I know,
dude,
just for stuff in game.
Vikkstar made a shit ton of money on servers, and I mean, Hypixel was like its own little empire.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
Hypixel
Hypixel,
was-
yeah,
yeah,
literally,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
insane. It's insane. And it's so cool because, like, honestly, like, you can just like create things, and that's when I realized like, wow, you can make stuff online and you can make money from it. And
Right.
so I almost didn't go to college, and then my parents convinced me to go to college, and then I was like, okay, fine. So I like put the Minecraft stuff on the side. I just like enjoyed college. I did a lot of shit in college, and kind of like Justin, it's like the idea of like learning other perspectives from doing things. I was an RA, orientation leader. I became my
okay.
school's mascot because I was like, sure, like why not? Like I was low-key like LARPing too, because like low-key the cheer coach reached out and he was like, yo, I see you do gymnastics. I was like, bro, like I just like posted that I went to a gymnastics club because of a guy, and I was like, I don't have gymnastics background experience, but I became a cheerleader. I became the mascot.
Yo.
My senior year, the
dope.
like Dallas Cowboys emailed him and was like, hey, this like mascot's doing TikToks, because like I was just doing TikToks at the time as the mascot, getting millions of views. He's like, do you want to be our mascot? I was like, sure, bro.
crazy.
I landed that in one interview. I basically, at my time at the Cowboys, I was only there for a year. My whole goal was understanding how their social team.
Which year was it?
2022 to 2023.
2022.
Lost
Yeah.
the Niners that year, I think.
Yeah, they did listen to Niners. We're Niners fans.
We're Niners fans.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, I can appreciate the Dallas Cowboys because, like, they built like an entire fan like empire, and
right,
they understood
yeah.
how to market
They're
like
the most
things.
valued sports
Yes.
franchise in the entire
so
world.
crazy.
Yeah,
to me.
and
Yeah.
so my whole objective there was just soaking in what that team does to market that, and that's literally what I did as the mascot. And
Did
then
you
just
convince
creating-
Jerry to pay Dak?
No, I, bro. But I met, really,
it, bro.
interesting people, bro. Like a mascot's so interesting. It's like living a double life. It's like your Hannah Montana moment. But for me, it was always a side quest of having fun and I guess like being the face of a brand and like seeing that perspective of marketing.
The biggest brand.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
No, I mean, he makes a great point because I haven't really thought about it like that. They truly do have like a media empire too with the Dallas, the cheer girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
the
Netflix
whole
show,
thing,
that was a
the
big
Netflix
show.
I mean, even
Yeah,
their training camp. They don't do their training camp in Dallas. They do it in LA, bro.
Yeah.
They do it for a reason.
Yeah.
For the exposure.
I mean, and like they've always been America's team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which
it's branding. It's branding.
It is
bro.
all branding.
branding.
Not my team.
You know, I still don't understand how American football works.
What?
I'll be real. Sorry, I'm a.
You know how
proper
basketball works,
football.
though.
Oh, okay.
You're a
okay.
Snicker fan, probably.
Soccer
huh?
fan, bro.
No, basketball for sure.
Basketball.
No, I like actual football.
He likes
Oh,
actually
you like
soccer. We call it soccer in these part of
Oh, so
towns,
World
bro.
Cup. The World Cup's
Soccer.
about to happen.
Hey,
Literally.
it's finally it's going to have its 5 minutes of the spotlight in for a while here in the U.S. and then
Yeah.
disappear again.
Yeah.
But it's a great time. It's a great time.
I'm a Chelsea fan.
Okay.
Same.
Oh,
Yeah.
there we go.
Didn't they just win recently?
Yeah, it's a
Against
better
Arsenal?
times. Better times.
I think go back to your question, why Clouded? Me and Justin
Yeah.
have known each other from the esports trenches. We actually met over Twitter. We met back in Dallas at DreamHack. And I think for me, like I landed my dream job at Riot Games right after college.
Because I feel like a lot of kids are looking at this like, if they're playing video games, like I used to play League of Legends
Yeah.
all the time. Let's go like, yo, Riot is like the place to
It
be.
is. I like
Yeah.
landed my dream job, but I like 6 months in, we already had grown our social audience 50% in the year of like what 2024, 2025 for the VCT. So North America Valorant, and I was like, okay, I love this, but like I know there's something else out there.
Yeah.
And I think for me, when I started my own agency, so bro, I mean, I was like so bold back then. Basically, like this one, I'm not gonna name them, but this one esports company was like, we're not gonna pay you a higher raise. Like I was like going after like a director role. They're like, no. So I left, made my own agency, signed their parent company for double my salary. And, yeah, I was like, all right. So
I mean, esports companies like they're just not making money though.
No, but that's not the point of esports. The point of esports is to burn VC money. That's the point, dude.
Yeah. Shout out. Wait, did TSM sell their LCS spot?
Did they?
Was it
Oh,
TSM?
I don't
right.
Did they? I don't know if they
I
sold
don't know.
it.
I mean, I think I read that the only profitable esports companies are like 100 Thieves because of their merch side.
No, there's
Oh,
also,
yeah, you're
there's
right.
also
TSM sold it.
G2 is also profitable.
Oh, G2, yeah.
but
FaZe,
because they
FaZe
built
is
a lot of
not making money.
Solana when Solana was coming up, and then they dumped all that Solana when it came up. So it's like shout outs to crypto.
Yeah. It was so interesting. Like, I was at Envy, and then one day my LinkedIn updated to Optic Gaming because they merged,
yeah,
and I was
they
like, you know what?
merged.
I'll take the rest maybe. It was like, like
You're at Envy? Wow. That's
yeah, I was
crazy.
at Envy, became Optic Gaming. Envy's back again. It was in the VCT, so I was like, wow, crazy. But yeah, why Clouded? I think like for me, after like growing a lot of these brands and even doing content myself, I was like, I loved being, I mean, I just have ADHD. I love like having my like hands on a lot of brands. And so I saw Cloud as an opportunity to scale that even further. So not like an agency side, but building the technology that like really is going to be the next era of marketing. I think the past 5 years have been brands being like social first, like Duolingo. You see a lot of these brands like spamming the fuck out of like short form video content.
Right.
So, these brands are hiring internal social teams. They're being social first, and it leads to them, like Duolingo, a language app. They made it super cool, and they became like a trendsetter for the past 5 years with TikTok. Now we're going to be in a distribution first era, and I think it's going to be this idea of companies are already having this early adopter like advantage of like doing distribution. So instead of having just an internal team, outsourcing it or leveraging tech to basically do clipping UGC, so you're scaling your content at the size of like hundreds to thousands of videos a week, and I think that's really like where we're going to be going for marketing.
Yeah, I'm curious actually. We also interviewed like Jason from Fixate, who also has an esports background. I'm curious do you guys think there's something to esports in the gaming community that, I don't know, suits them extra well for kind of this distribution and marketing side of things? Because, Fixate.
We can talk about this for days. We actually have like me, Eric, and Jason actually had this like topic of like about how all the esports people from like the past era are now like have somehow found themselves in not just like the distribution space, but also like startups in general.
Yeah.
I think it's because we all came from the gulag. We all came from the gulag. Like it's like I always say, right? A lot of people in the esports space are people who essentially like running your own esports project, right?
Yeah.
Or especially people from the collegiate esports space was basically like running companies with minimal resources and trying to get as much public awareness as possible, so you can get the resources you need from like sponsors, right? Which are, if you look at the parallels to like venture, right? It's very much similar in that. Oh, you start with no resources. You have to convince all your friends to join you. You have to convince people that somehow you have you're in a cave with a box of scraps. So it's worth something.
Yeah.
And hopefully convince a very generous benefactor to invest in you with minimal hopes of return. Right?
Yeah.
If
It's
you
very
think about it,
similar.
Yeah,
it's very
that's
similar,
a good
right?
point.
I think it's also that competitive part as well. Like,
Oh, for sure.
everyone in
Yeah,
any
for
sports,
sure.
Like, there's just competitive to the max. You know what's like also like a huge parallel we see? A lot of like successful founders and people just in the space. They're either like Roblox developers,
Yeah, we
or
see
I
that.
guess like now like the Minecraft, servers.
Yeah, dude,
Or
it's
games
crazy.
in general.
Yeah,
games,
Valorant,
right?
Valorant, a lot of Valorant players.
How I best describe like joining Clouded, because so many people are like, why the hell would you leave Riot Games? I'm like, bro, like Clouded to me is like building my Minecraft server all over again.
Oh,
It
that's
literally is
amazing.
like built like startups are like the opportunity of like I prefer people over process, not process over people. The amount of time I wasted trying to influence other people in the org to just do XYZ, I'm like, I'm done trying to explain to people why this is gonna work on social. And if you just don't get that, like we're just gonna build it ourselves.
Okay.
I love
No,
that.
I mean gaming is basically like good gamers is like it's like a signal now for VC. Like people be flexing on their like Twitter bios, like oh I was ranked
Oh, for
X
sure.
by
500 Overwatch.
Yeah, it's
For
like being
sure.
a math Olympiad or something. It's like running a math Olympiad is being like
I
highly
do have
ranked.
one call out though. There's a lot of these people in like the tech space right now who are flexing that they were like ex-pro gamers or shit. First of all, you're not a pro gamer. It's
Let
like,
'em know.
just because you were top 500 on Overwatch or you said like ex-pro league player or shit, you were never a pro.
Let 'em know.
A pro is a definition of a pro is someone who made a living by participating in a tier 2
Let 'em
or
know.
tier 1 league. You're lying for the sake of raising venture funds and being
Let
full
'em
on
know.
Twitter. And anyone who's actually in the scene knows that you're lying. I know who
Gamers rise up. Gamers
Yeah,
rise
yeah,
up.
yeah. Y'all never in your life were at LCS. Y'all were never in Overwatch League. Get the fuck out of here.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
As someone who, again, it's like all of us came from like the esports space where we basically made no money. We fought into gulags. You were not part of the gulags at all. And we are gatekeepers. I was like, you were not part of the gulag.
They're trying to LARP the struggle without ever being in the struggle.
Yeah, dude. No. You were working your fancy Fang internship. You were working your fancy Fang internship while playing ARAMs and leagues on the weekends.
Yeah.
And just because you had a nice rank doesn't mean you went through the sacrifices and the gulags we did.
It's like
Thank you.
like rappers who like grew up rich, but they rap like they came out from the
From the
streets.
trenches. From the trenches. Yeah, facts.
Oh,
That's very similar.
that's a great point.
I know that. Yeah.
No, I just think like cascading to like a larger like hot take topic. I do think one of the things I heavily dislike about the Valley and the sea nowadays, and this is true of like a lot of like I call upcoming spaces because people now see being a founder as a badge of honor, right?
Yeah.
So now it's like an alternative career path. You know, it's so much cooler
No,
to
we talk,
drop
yeah.
out of Stanford and then do
Yeah.
your startup. So now you see all of these random LARPer kids in the Valley.
Literally.
We talk about that all the
We
time.
talk about it all the time.
misrepresent their credentials.
These performative tech bros.
No,
These
yeah,
performative
I mean,
founders.
being a founder is the new like McKinsey or the new Fang or the new. It's what you're supposed to do. Like it used to be
Yeah.
something that it was the path less
It
traveled.
happened. It
Now
happened.
it's the
Yeah.
path that everyone wants to travel is dropping out and
I
performative funds.
would say this, dude. Right? It's like the thing I dislike the most are people who are founders for the sake of being founders.
Yeah.
Because the whole point of a founder is to solve for problems and help people out, right? It's not to be a founder.
Yeah. Yeah.
And honestly, my biggest turnoff on SF Hinge is when I meet a guy or a girl, go on a date with them, and they say like, oh, like why are you a founder? And they're like, oh, it's like I love being a founder because I want to be a founder, and it's and I love that. It's like
What does that
I've
mean?
always wanted to be a founder.
Worst Hinge line, worst
Yeah.
Hinge convo I've had. I was like, "What's your hobbies?" I want to know you. I want to
Yeah,
know
yeah.
you. Like what like I want to know what makes you happy. They're like user-centered design.
No.
Oh,
Yeah. No,
That is the most SF thing
bro,
ever.
and, like the
No.
SF parties, like I'm not
God.
trying
They
to
suck,
sound,
bro.
Like, dude, like where's the alcohol?
no, there is like alcohol, right? But it's not even the good kind. It's like someone's like, "What drink do you want?" A rum and they're like rum and coke. I'm like, first of all, it's like, are you in high school? 'Cause I was like, and unfortunately, as someone in the nightlife scene, I'm a gatekeeper as well.
Yeah.
But it's and then it's like I was DJing at this like random party in like SF. It was like a YC like after party.
Oh, God.
And then
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever DJ one of those again. But it's like I was like mixing, right? And then and there's this like one dude who like walked up to me and said, "What's the enterprise value of like DJing?"
Yo,
That's so fucking crazy.
bro, if you
And
don't,
actually,
that's crazy.
it's probably high and going up. I think DJing is
Yeah.
actually going up. Live events are coming
they're
back.
coming
Come
back.
back. It's so
Yeah.
going to come back.
Yeah, they're coming back.
I just think like one of the things
and they got
that-
mango parties and shit.
Man, we
party.
went to the mango
we went
party.
we went to the citrus fruit party.
Oh,
I don't know if you
citrus
heard about the
fruit
citrus
party.
fruit.
So
It's
unfortunately, I hang out in normal people's.
Yeah, no, we hugely into. The podcast.
We got invited. We were in SF for the podcast. We got invited to the citrus fruit party. But essentially, like,
what is that?
So you know how SF has like all these like random themed parties, right?
Yeah.
I think they're having like a banana party like soon. ABG Maxing party will happen.
Oh,
like,
Christ.
so,
Maxing party,
so like we were
jeez.
with I don't know if you guys know Eunice Lai. She's like kind of popular in space, but
Yeah.
she was like, "Yo, like come to this like citrus fruit party with us," and we were like. Okay,
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah,
Like,
we were
it's
like,
Sunday,
we had nothing
like,
else to
Sunday,
do.
it's like 4 p.m. on a Sunday. Like, all right, let's just do it.
Yeah.
We walk in and it's in theme, so everyone's wearing like citrus fruit colors, like kind of like this.
That's pretty cool, actually. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
You thought so, like you would think so. You would think so. Yeah, you would think so. So we walk in. Obviously, Jade and I are not in theme. I'm wearing like a black T-shirt.
I'm in like a tech.
Yeah,
I'm in
he's-
like,
yeah,
a
he's
tech
like-
or
it's
So
just
you guys
something.
are from like you guys are like two boys from LA, basically.
Yeah, we're just two
For
boys from
sure,
LA just
dude.
LARPing as tech bros for that, or not even tech, we're just citrus fruit people. I don't even know.
Yeah.
And we walk in, and so the table at the main table is just cut citrus fruit. It was like
No.
oranges or something, right? It was oranges.
That's really, I actually like that.
No. It gets
What, is
worse.
it- is
This is
there-
the- I'm setting the scene.
I'm trying to be optimistic.
Yeah, exactly. I'm starting high and I'm gonna end low. Okay, so we
there we
start
go.
with the table.
And it was
there's
at Dwarkish's house,
It was
right?
at Dorcas' house. You know, if you know Dorcas, the podcaster. If you don't know, then it's
Handsome
fine.
guy.
It's
Yeah.
a guy. It's a guy. Yeah, pretty handsome guy, honestly. But
kinda mogs you.
anyways, we walk in. There's no alcohol. Like that's the biggest thing. Okay,
Yeah.
first of all, there's no alcohol. It's a party. It's at like there's probably like 20, no, probably way more, 100 people there, 50
Yeah,
people
there's a
there.
good
What
amount
was
of
the
people
ratio
there.
like?
The ratio you said?
Yeah.
It actually wasn't too
It
bad.
wasn't
but
too bad. I would say like 60-40 men to female, which is not bad.
Yeah.
Really good,
Oh,
actually.
that's actually like
That's really good for
actually
SF.
That's like 30, 70, 30 guys, 70 girls for SF.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
conversion rate.
It's not bad, but
It's really good.
But so there's no alcohol. Jaden's like fiending the fuck out. He's like,
Yeah.
yo, like there's no alcohol. Like
Can we
people are.
talk, you know, my parents watch this podcast and they think I'm an alcoholic now. My mom's like, Jaden, do we need to talk? I'm like, no.
So Jaden's like feeding, like Jaden's like looking in Dorcas's like closets for like alcohol and stuff. Like we can't find it, and so we just start talking to people. You know,
No, but didn't he see like a half-empty White Claw? And he was like,
yes, he did. No. So like that. Pretend like that poppy like
Yeah.
cut.
But it's because it was so like
Jaden's
boring.
like-
I needed something to
It's
take
like a rabbit,
that.
like a rabid animal, right? Like a rabid animal, and it's not because you're not your alcoholic. It was just the party was so lame.
It was
and so
so-
he's like, bro, I need to be drunk for this. He grabs like a
that's
White
fair.
Claw. He's like, yes. Completely empty.
Also, by the way, the people that host the citrus parties, I wasn't there because I had a fever. My bad. However, I want to go to one.
No,
We
we're also going to the mango party. We want to go to the mango party.
Now that I actually hear the concept, I think it's a great concept.
But-
The concept's amazing.
You know, I'm
It's
thinking
cool.
like you do like you know like an old fashioned. You have the orange,
Yeah.
like the pure.
And honestly, we're
It's
roasting.
pairing.
No,
It's
we're
it was
glad
fun. It
they
was fun.
invited us.
Yeah,
and
we want to go to the mango party. We were sad we missed the mango
it
party.
was just we were
There's
culture
there's-
shock.
mango parties sound great.
There's other
I love
fruit parties.
mangoes.
But
That's just
anyways,
Filipino.
They're doing a banana.
the
They're doing a
issue-
banana party
The
next.
issue with the party wasn't like the theme. Like I think SF is really cool that has themes. I like themes. Like in LA, we've tried to throw some theme parties. It never works out.
We've never tried that in our
Yeah,
lives.
bro. When have we
Is it
tried to
is it-
throw a
is
theme
it a
party,
banana
bro?
party because a lot of like the Asians in the tech scene are like yellow on the outside and
But white on the inside?
Is that what it's
I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you.
I just think it's a provocative fruit.
Yeah, it's provocative. But essentially, the problem was like every time we would talk to someone, it was like an NP. I felt like I was in GTA.
Yeah.
With like control, like
The
press
same dialogue
X.
every single
Like,
time.
I had to
Skip,
press X to
skip,
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 bro.
skip,
Yeah,
skip.
Yeah,
Because
literally.
the first question in SF is never like, "Hey, what's your name?" It's always like, so,
What are
like,
you building?
What are you building? It was always, "So what are you working on? What are you building?" And it's like,
How much did you raise?
And it's like, bro, like,
Bootstrap, VC.
You know, and it's that, and it's also like you find out like a lot of those people are like just LARPing. Like they're,
Yeah.
they're not.
We were
actually
talking to this
doing
one girl.
anything.
they can, it's like, you know, I realized, right? Again, we talk about this a lot in the house because we come from a scene, aka like the music scene and like the gaming scene, where it's such a small space that if you do lie and misrepresent, people will talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people, and it's very like you know, it's like misrepresenting even by a little is seen as inauthentic and fake in like the music
Yeah.
scene.
Word
And
is bond.
you're gonna get excommunicadoed from the scene
Yeah.
by doing that, right? Then I realized in the startup scene, which is like, I guess like not necessarily upsetting, but I mean it is upsetting. But it's like it's like you can just lie, huh?
you can
Yeah.
just lie.
Just lie,
No, I mean,
yeah.
people
all the
lie about
time.
revenue all the time.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's
Raising
users
money.
all the
Are
time.
you saying it's a grift off?
It is a grift.
for
off.
surely a
It's-
grift
Yeah,
that-
for sure,
it
bro.
is
It's
such a
psychology.
grift
It
off.
really is. It's
Yeah,
just
for
psychology.
Well,
sure.
the thing is, like, I think like everyone in SF and like the tech people that like us that we talk to, they're always like, "Why do you guys live in LA?" And
LA has vibes,
yeah, and
dude.
it's like,
way more
and it's also
vibes.
like,
Get outta here.
like I'm from LA, it's home, but also at the same time, it's like, dude, like we also care about our like, our lives.
It is
We're
not
from
home.
the
It is
Bay.
not home for us.
We're from the Bay Area.
Yeah,
and
we moved to
So
LA.
here's the hot take I have, right? A lot of people say you have to be in SF, and we do have an SF office. I spend the weekdays, Mondays to Thursdays in SF, and I spend the weekends
Oh.
in LA.
Oh, that's kinda
I commute-
sick.
I commute-
Yeah.
I commute. Shout outs to Frontiers like. Actually,
I told him about that. I literally said,
Yeah,
I,
on
literally
your
said,
ass,
I would-
bro.
I said I wouldn't mind doing that to do literally what
I
he's
do it.
doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I always say, right, that as a founder, the company actually cannot perform if you are not in your best state.
100%.
And you
Yeah.
can optimize for what puts you in your best state. And if you're a social individual and you like having a normal life, then you should go to where normal feels for you, right?
Right.
For a lot of people, SF like being like in the, like the boiler room of like constantly being on that grind. That is normal for people.
Yeah.
If you're someone who enjoys that double life of like culture and deep work,
Type
New York's
shit.
that place.
Oh.
If you like
too.
if you like being in the social jungle, then LA's that
LA,
place for you. It's
yeah.
different stroke for different books. And
Right,
at the end
right.
of the day, it's like what is best for you and what gets you in your best mental state is where you should be.
Yeah, I agree.
And I guess like that said, it's I my co-founder, right, like my co-founder Adrio, who's Singaporean, and we have this like thing in the I think it's more of a me thing where every time I quote someone else, I say it in their voice. So he's Singaporean, right, and it's and I like to think I have a great voice impressions of many people.
He does.
But what's this? He has this thing, right, where in SF the first thing people ask is like, what are you building? What's your revenue?
Yeah.
What's this? Or like, what are you building? What's your revenue? Who did you raise from? They try to decipher a lot about you because that is how they try to like figure out, hey, how could we work together, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone's trying to like, a lot of it's actually not done in like bad intention. It's
Okay,
just that
okay.
they're socially inept. But it's like, a lot of them are actually good people at their core.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm actually like, rather than rage beating, I'm actually like saying here, like they're a lot of people are actually just trying to be helpful. And,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you
for
know,
sure,
whatever.
yeah.
It's just like no one taught them properly.
For sure.
They never got bullied in college. This is why I think people should actually go to college to get bullied for a couple of years.
For
at least.
sure.
Like,
You
be
gotta
forced
grow
to
in
do
college,
some
yeah.
degree.
To an extent, though, don't you?
I was gonna say, but in New York, it's the actual opposite, right? Sometimes,
That's what I was
even
gonna
as much
say.
as I love New York, my co-founder Adriel is not the biggest fan of New York because a lot of people here tend to beat around the bush about what they're doing, what their stuff is until like the last part of the convo.
Yeah.
It's, what do you actually do? First, they ask it's like a bunch of stuff about like where'd you go to this weekend?
Yeah,
Like, what do you
yeah.
guys do? It's like there's pros and cons to these
Right.
things, right? I personally enjoy the New York vibe a lot more,
Yeah.
but that's because I'm like a creative at heart.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
Adriel's like, oh, Justin, startups are measured by their velocity. And if the time to conversation and time to collaborate is much longer, then you cannot compress the time to the next stage of your company.
Yeah, I'm crying,
goated.
son.
That's kind of wise.
That's wise, yeah.
Well, like
that
I mean, I think like SF is like it's the tech climbers. LA, like you have that in terms of like the entertainment industry. Everyone's trying to be an actor.
Yeah, you have
everyone's trying to be
social
a
climbers,
comedian,
yeah.
singer, artist.
For
In
sure.
New York, you're trying to heal your inner child.
But I actually,
This is where we should be, guys. We all gotta be New York.
I think to an extent, I also think New York has a lot more of where did you go to college, where do you work,
Yeah.
yeah, like
It's
yeah,
that, and what it's like that finance. And,
yeah, it's the more like
yeah.
traditional kind of path.
So,
wait,
like,
one
there's
more
climbers
thing.
everywhere.
Yeah, there's climbers everywhere. It's just
Aren't we
different
all
ways.
climbing in our own way?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, it's
yeah,
human
for sure.
nature, right? Wait, I actually want Eric does a good impression of one of our good friends who's been on the podcast, Arlen. Do you guys know Arlen?
Yeah, no, I took him to his
yeah.
first rave.
I love the
Oh, we were just who were you?
Yeah.
Arlen?
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
okay.
Last night,
I
yeah.
took him to Stay in Bloom.
Oh,
And
we were
SF?
talking about
Yeah,
that.
With Eric Zhu?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, what
They
I did.
FaceTimed me in the car there.
I know I was there. I was there. I said hi to you, dude. What the fuck do you mean?
Yeah,
I
Eric's
followed me on
so
Twitter
big.
after anyway. It's like I always tell to a lot of these like younger founders, I am their rave uncle.
Yeah.
And because a lot of them like end up like I guess giving up a lot of their like childhood or college experience.
For sure.
Yeah.
I was very similar to them. I was working on my first like VC backstart when I was in college, but I had like older senseis who like showed me that it shouldn't just be it should be all building but also having fun.
Yeah,
So
that's
I was
dope.
like I think these young kids are way smarter than I ever was at their age. But if there's one thing that I can show them, it's a good time. And like as their like unk, we brought them to Stay in Bloom.
You're not that old, man. Come on, you're kind of aging.
I think,
You're
I,
already-
I think
he's
Eric
already
has a
joking.
great time on his own. Eric
No,
Zhu.
it was Arlen though. It's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arlen has a lot of fun too.
Arlen has a lot of fun.
Recently.
Yeah, but it's like we took them like we took Arlen to his like first rave there,
That's
and then
dope.
I taught them the first lesson. You're on your own. so basically, it's like Stay in Bloom. We have a bunch of like clients there.
Yeah.
Like we've done some like shows with David in the past and stuff. So I was
Sick.
like, I'm doing my round because I go to raves I go to raves to vibe, but I also go to raves to sell B2B SaaS. Okay,
Right.
we're not the same. It's like so I went. I
I go to Raise so BDB SaaS as a fire quote.
that's the thing. It's like I go to race to sell B2B SaaS. Like that is actually like half my like GTM motion. So
Right.
I had to go backstage to go meet some people, do a couple demos. Right. I was there for work.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I told the kids, first lesson of a rave, you're on your own. Find your way back to the meetup spot. Have fun.
AKA find your rave bay.
Find your rave
I
bay.
mean, I like the I hope they do whatever they do, but I am a strictly professional in the rave scene. Unfortunately, this is my work
There we
environment.
go.
Yeah, makes
No,
sense.
I mean, like,
Can you do the Arlen
Can
code?
you do
yeah,
the
so
accent?
like, you know,
Don't give
Arlen,
too much
Arlen
context,
from
just do the code, no
Arlen
context.
from the Zomio, yeah, like, he, well, he was in LA for the first time with us, and he was just like, bro, like, I fucking love LA, bro. Like, oh shit, like fucking SF gets mugged by LA, bro.
He was like, bro, SF could never.
Bro, SF could never, bro.
I thought Kazakhstan.
Bro, I'm from
Now say the
Kazakhstan.
iconic line. Say the iconic. No, actually, don't say the iconic line.
I think I know what this is.
We'll
I
say
know-
we'll say
we'll
that
do it after, we'll do it
off camera.
I can't say the line I want to say, but
Yeah,
I'll
off
say it
camera.
camera.
It's
So good.
That's a classic
He says
line.
it so well too. It's,
I know what you're talking about.
Okay. I mean, we're over time.
We are over time.
Over time for surely, yeah.
Should we
close it
slowly wrap it
yeah,
up?
so like, you know, closing out this, you know, the podcast and whatnot. We have a lot of young founders and people trying to make it in life, right? And you know, you guys are all very old, but I'm gonna focus on you two right now, right? What is like an ending statement that you want to tell the young founders and people in the scenes, the strivers watching this?
I mean, I was a striver back in my day, dude. Back in my day, I was a striver too. I think the biggest thing that a lot of people in the startup scene tend to do, and even myself to a degree, is that you tend to make your entire work your personality. And you know, I do think that is like, you know, when you're younger, you could do that, right? But then when you get older, you start to realize that being a young founder is no longer an identity that you can have, and a lot of people tend to like, you know, realize like, hey, I'm no longer that like child star. I could no longer like, you no longer have the excuse or the excuse or like the privilege of being able to say I can make mistakes and come back, or I can say like a lot like, or you can do a lot of questionable shit because you're young. You lose that like, you know, pass, right? So I always tell a lot of like younger founders, because I've made, you know, a lot of mistakes when I was like younger too. It's that like have a life outside of your work. It'll help to make your work better. And second of all, don't get canceled.
There we go.
There we go.
Classic.
How about you?
Yeah, I think my advice is like I spent so many times of like my early careers like trying to prove myself right to people. I was just taking advice from people that would never do the things I was going to do anyways. So like don't take advice from people that are too scared to do the things that you're going to do anyways. That's like what I would say. And then work hard, play harder. Like, you know,
There you
I
go.
think
Yeah, there
for
we go.
Clouded, like the best employee benefit is like free tickets to raves. Like
Yeah, it's
we'll
crazy.
we'll grind it out during the week and then we go to a rave.
They go have fun at the raves. Dude, EDC was like back-to-back sales calls.
B2B
dude.
SaaS.
No way.
We go to raves to sell B2B SaaS.
True. It's amazing.
Well, dude, well, thank you guys so much for
Thank
coming
you so
on.
much.
This has been the Cap Tables interview with Clouded. You can check all the stuff out in the description below. And, you know, keep in mind, we're on X, we're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram,
Instagram.
we're on Google, we're on Founders Inc., we're on
That's about it.
Everything.
GitHub. We have a
Oh,
repo.
we're on GitHub.
We have a repo.
We're on.
It's public.
Okay.
We're on. No,
No, we're not. We're not. Okay.
All right.